Hi, folks. I'm Herb Stevenson. This is next segment, podcast probably 24 of 25. Obviously, it's natural passages revealing unmarked doors of life. Something I've been thinking about quite a bit lately. Uh, Last time I chatted, we talked a little bit about witnessing, and it's brought me to the place of wanting to talk about right relations. Witnessing, when we're trying to be present, is the capacity to step out of our storytelling part that we do on a day-to-day basis. And one of the ways that seems to have changed over the years is we've become more worried about being politically correct or not hurting people's feelings and not really understanding that if we're present to another individual and we're in a place of non-judgment, which generally, when you're fully present, you're not going to be judging because you're not storytelling. We began to realize that there is a much more effective, intimate way of being in relationship to somebody. And when I say intimate, I'm talking about the capacity to actually connect with them as a human being. So I want to talk about right relations because I'm not quite sure where the source of this was. I found this years ago, and somebody had sent it to me. And it's something I pulled out, and I want you to think about it from a point of view of if you practice these steps, your right relations, which basically means all of your relationships will dramatically improve. Storytelling goes away because you have a focused structure and capacity to be able to relate and make connection with other human beings. So, for example, oftentimes um, the first principle is if I have a problem, uh, or if you have a problem with me, come to me, I will do the same for you. Uh, Very simple. It's actually a very basic old principle of right relations that is forgotten because nowadays, or frequently is if I have a problem with you, it's easier to say nothing or to avoid a conflict. And in truth, the issue is if I have a problem and I simply say to you, I have, you know, whatever it is, whatever the difficulty is, or I often use the phrase is if I have a problem with somebody, I start off by saying, help me understand how you came to that conclusion or how you came to that statement. And by doing that, I open up a conversation instead of an attack because oftentimes we have a problem with somebody, we allow our emotions to jump out, we get very reactive, and instead we just simply say, such and such happened. This is how I experienced it. What was your intention? What were you trying to convey to me? And when we do that, the result of it is we begin to um, make connection and we eliminate all of the storytelling that's in the background that creates our reactivity. So similarly, in that same vein, if we follow that concept, if you have a problem with me, come to me, I'll do the same for you. The same thing helps us eliminate a lot of the gossip, craziness in the background. So if someone has a problem with me and comes to you, send them to me. I will do the same for you. This is how we prevent gossip and the third party uh, diluting effect. Whereas if I tell somebody else something and I don't go refer them back directly back, the impact of it is we end up creating more filters and more reactivity. And it creates massive stories in the background. And we're sitting around wonder what's going on. What's this sense of in the background. So, like the first, if you have a problem, come to me. And if someone else has a problem, have them come to me. And the third thing that I've done frequently of myself is if someone has a problem with me and is hesitant to come to me, I ask people to, come with them. And I'll do the same for them. And the way I'll reverse that is that when I've had situations where people have been nervous, I said, well, if they'll support you, I'll come with you and be in the conversation. And this can be in very simple types of things that people on day-to-day things. For example, when I'm doing virtual introductions, oftentimes people do virtual introductions by email. And what I'm finding out now is sometimes when I'm trying to do a virtual introduction, even though I can see what I think is going to be an easy meeting, there's hesitancy. So I offered to them, I said, would it be supportive for the two of you if I come to the meeting, briefly introduce you, have a brief conversation, and then fade out into the background? And the same thing applies when we basically talk about problems, because if there's a problem and somebody comes with us, it's to support us, it's not to defend us. And so what we're building up is our capacity to be present, but not only our capacity to be present, it's our capacity to be present without preconceived notions. So the impact of that is that we are beginning to show up for ourselves as well as for the other person. And that goes then with the next principle, which is be careful. Be careful how you interpret me, and I will be careful how I interpret you. I just alluded to the idea of preconceived notions. We all carry them. We have stories that we're telling about people. Uh, my favorite one is to be told sometime later that you're nothing like what I thought when I first met you. And I so, so tell me the story about how you first met me. Well, da, 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 and they go with this story, and I said, that's interesting. So what's changed? And they said, well, I tried to sit down and listen to you for a little bit, and we had a conversation. I found out you're nothing like what I thought. And so interpretation is three-fourths of the problems that many of us have is we automatically assume we know something, and we do it out of defensiveness. That defensiveness is a form of protection. How do I feel safe? Your energy or your perception, you create an image of me um, that may not be true. And it may be true, but either way, it's far better to work with it with each other if we deal with taking the time and not interpreting. And that's where I said it earlier, and I've said this frequently throughout the podcast. Help me understand how you came to that conclusion. Help me understand what you meant by that. Anything of that nature is going to help the conversation. And the question is, do you want to make contact with that person, or do you just want to do a slam dunk and run, or whatever other process that you might use? So when contact is a human need, and it's actually when we make contact, it means I got present enough, I had enough courage to get present enough to be with you without judgment. I might have reactions after that, but even then, I'm doing it from a place of in the present moment. So another thing about right relations is often happens, and this is where people have leaks, excuse me. And a leak is if you tell me something in confidence, I will not tell another person unless it's harmful to you or another person. And I expect the same from you. Frequently, people will think they're being helpful telling me something that somebody has told them in confidence. And it's really not helpful because it's a breach in the relationship with the other person. And so that breach now is in the background every time you meet that other person. And even though they feel like you have been in integrity with them, you're actually not. And for most of us, if we think about that, that's very offensive. It's like, oh God, that's not true. I have integrity, but do you? So if someone does tell you something in confidence, or if they are going to, simply say to them, please don't tell me that. You might put me in a position where I could breach my own integrity and breach your confidence, and I would rather you not do that. So whenever you're working, if you want right relations, be clear about the boundary. If you tell me something in confidence, I will not tell another, and vice versa, because these are how we build actually good, right relations with each other. The same thing is if it's about someone else, don't tell me unless it's important to their health and well-being. So I prefer not having the noise of another person into my system because it interrupts my presence. And now I have to think about something that's far away from me instead of the person in front of me. So, if it's about somebody's health or well-being and you're telling me about, a friend of mine had cancer and they're giving me an update status, absolutely fine. That's fine. But what this is about um, is saying something about a person, um, maybe that you're offended by. And so sometimes I'm fine with listening to a person express some of the things that from their own perspective of what they're going through. And that is when I will redirect them back. Would you consider having a conversation with that person about this? Have you thought about this type of conversation? But if it's just simply gossip, then I'm not really, I would prefer not to fill the airways with that. The next one is it's very common. I'm laughing because this one reminds me of a variety of things. Do not manipulate others. And so, in other words, I do not manipulate others, and I expect the same from you, which is do not try to manipulate me. If you have a request, just simply ask it. If you have a, a grievance with me, simply say it. Which ties to the last one, when in doubt, just say it, and I will do the same. The hardest part is interesting is over time, because we have had so many, let's just say, difficult situations in our lives, we frequently end up telling ourselves a story of practicing how many different ways can I say this and how might this land and how might that land. And the interesting part is when we quit trying to manipulate the emotions and only focus on what it is that we have to say with that person, and we do it with presence, the impact is we generally will get a much more favorable response. Now, frequently people don't really pay attention to the fact that our presence is contagious, which basically means if we are full of emotional energy at the moment that we're making contact, that will be contagious. Now, examples that you could have is a variety of them. People say animals feel fear. Well, so do people. we, we just don't like to acknowledge it. We also feel other people's anxieties. And so when we're in somebody else's energy, the issue that can be the most helpful for us is just simply slow everything down, take a deep breath. I like to say, wiggle your toes, feel your butt in your seat, and then speak. Just say it. When that happens, most people find out there's no judgment. The emotional reactivity that might have been involved is in the background, but allows us to have a conversation which gets to the clarity. So if there's hurt feelings, it could be understood how the feelings were hurt and what can be done about it to move forward. So when we're looking at right relations, the ability to witness yourself, to stay fully present, the ability to stay fully present without preconceived notions are all tied together in creating a conscious awareness in the moment where you make contact, an intimate edge with that person, and as a result, are more effective. Not only more effective inside yourself, but you're more effective with that person. Prior podcasts, you've heard me say this. If you want to improve the relationships with anybody, in particular, I've said this about relationships with family members or with children, is make eye contact for about 15 to 30 seconds. First thing when you see them, you don't need to say anything. They will frequently look at you and say, "What are you looking at?" And you smile and say, "You," and I don't do it enough. Do that every day for 30 days and you'll change the relationship because the only thing that you're bringing into it is your presence and an awareness of that person in that moment. Everybody needs to be validated that way. It's in the existential validation that I exist and that I am important. Those of you who have children will know that that's really important. One of the things that I found out was I had referred this to some of my clients, and it got to the point that the children, after about 2 weeks of realizing this is really going to be real, when the parent came home, the client came home, they were at the door wanting eye contact, wanting to see the soft eyes of validation. We all need that. So think about these principles. I'm going to summarize them. If you have a problem with me, come to me. I will do the same for you. If someone has a problem with me and comes to you, send them to me. I will do the same for you. If someone has a problem with me and is hesitant to come to me, come with them. I will do the same for you. Be careful how you interpret me. I'll be careful how I interpret you. If you tell me something in confidence, I'll not tell another person unless it's harmful to you or another person, and I expect the same from you. If it's about someone else, don't tell me unless it's important to their health and well-being. I do not manipulate others, and I expect the same from you. When in doubt, just say it. I will do the same. So these principles are for right relations. It's coming from a place of having the courage to be fully present, having the courage to engage and make contact. It's the courage to actually be intimate. Intimate is making contact person to person. So thank you for this session. I'm Herb Stevenson. This is Natural Passages, revealing in that the unmarked doors of life. Thanks much, and have a great day.